Welcome to Season 2, Episode 6 of our 30 and Nerdy podcast series. If you've already listened to Episode 6...
then this is Episode 7.
This is our Powers episode.
You're Matt, and I'm Gina.
Yep. I'm Matt.
I'm Gina.
From 30andnerdy.com, or at 30, spelled out, and nerdy on Twitter, right?
Yeah, sure.
Anyways, so the PlayStation Network just released a batch of original content called Powers. And we're here to talk about it.
Unfortunately, yes.
Original in the sense that actually this TV series Powers is 3 episodes long as of right now. Each episode is an hour long, and it's based off of a comic book series of the same title, right?
Correct.
I don't have your attention.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I thought the dog had your attention.
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. So Powers, I'm going to actually glance over here on the screen real quick. I've never read the comic book, and instead of pretending like, have you read the comic book?
Nope.
No, because I know you haven't.
I never even heard of the comic book.
Here, talk, say something. So the comic book is written by Brian Bendis, and it's illustrated by artist Michael Owens. So the TV series stars our main man from District 9, Elysium, and now Chappie. Try to say his name.
Charlton?
Copley.
I think, yeah.
Can we just call him Mr. C?
Let's just call him Copley.
Can we just call him Mr. C?
You can.
I'm going to call him Mr. C. You
All
can
right.
call him Copley, right?
All right.
So he's in it. Who else is in it? Anybody we know?
Nobody really. The miniseries also has Noah Tyler, who we've seen in a couple other things. I don't think I've ever seen him in a main role. He's been in some supporting roles. I think in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp. He played Charlie's father.
Oh, you want to know something really interesting right now as I look at the Wikipedia page for the show?
What?
Is it's actually executively produced by the writers and artists on the by Bendis and Owing. They were executive producers on the TV show.
Really? That's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. Let's see. And then Eddie Izzard's in it. He plays Wolf. But I think besides them two, there isn't really any other big quote unquote names in it.
And people really like Eddie Izzard, right?
Apparently he's got some kind of cult following.
Yeah, we're so not. Are we nerds? Are we? What's wrong with us? Why don't we know these people? Why don't we know these things?
I don't know. We're just not interested in it.
There's only 2 of us here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to focus on the TV series. Neither one of us has said the comic books. I guess if you've seen the comic books, your feelings on the TV show are probably drastically different from people like us who are just approaching this purely as a piece of screen entertainment, as a set of motion pictures that move. I guess when we were doing a little bit of research on the comic book, they're actually really, really different. And so some of the characters are the same. The story elements in the first 6 or maybe even 12 episodes of the comic book have nothing to do with what they've done with the television show, except for, some of the characters being the same. There's a couple of plot threads that are similar and whatnot. We can get into some of that a little bit later, though. So let's just get this off of our chests right here in case you feel like not listening to any more of the podcast. Should you watch this show?
Based on our opinions, no. Absolutely not. Don't waste your time. Watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. instead.
Well, here's the thing, right? Is that if you're a PlayStation Plus member, if you're paying that $50 a year to subscribe to the PlayStation Network and all the free goodies that you get along with it, the quote-unquote free goodies, this is actually free for you. Go on.
Oh, if you're not a PlayStation Plus member, you have to pay for these episodes, and
Yeah.
I would strongly recommend against that.
You get the first episode for free, regardless of who you are.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So then if you have 50 minutes to waste on absolutely nothing better, go ahead and check it out.
Yeah.
But don't pay for these episodes. I feel like we are absolutely definitely in the minority of our opinions
We are!
in this whole scenario, because we checked out a couple online. We even talked with people that we know who have seen it, and everyone seems to love it. Everyone seems to think that it's at least good to great. We just think, I think it's terrible. It's not even okay. Okay, maybe I can muster another episode or so, but it's just from literally the very first 2 or 3 scenes we saw, we're like, oh God, we just knew it was going to be terrible. The writing is just so... Okay, I'm sorry. Go on. So, I will let you continue.
Okay, sorry. No, so you're right. After we watched the first episode, and you were correct in that the first moments of the show rubbed us the wrong way. But here's the thing: is I feel like I have a little bit of a prejudice now. Finishing film school and coming out here and finishing up my degree, taking producing classes over at Raleigh Studios and stuff like that, I became very disenchanted with like film production in Hollywood and stuff like that. Now we live in LA, and it's kind of like you're, in a way, super immersed in the culture and even more of the advertising and the people in the industry and stuff like that. It's all here. And so I feel like I'm super hard on things now because I can't get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see a show like this, and granted, I didn't know that the comic books took place in Chicago.
Oh,
and now to keep production costs low, it's blatantly obvious why it all of a sudden takes place in LA is because the studios are out here and everything. Yep. And so when I see that establishing shot of like Santa Monica Beach and the pier and stuff like that, I instantly the words are coming out before the thought is, I instantly think, like, oh, it's going to be super low budget. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against programs or things that are created on next to no budget, because just because you don't have any money to make something doesn't mean it can't be good, know?
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's it's fault in any case. I don't think that's the fault of the show at all. It's, like I said, it's the scripting that's terrible. Right.
And so in this show's case, it's kind of like it's a case of insult to injury. It's like, okay, so you're low budget, whatever, but your script is bad. The actors are really, really bad.
It's a whole like conglomeration of these things where it's like, at least if the special effects were a little better, or at least if like the actors could act a little better, you might kind of forgive it. But it's like it's a trifecta of things. You're just like, oh god, make it stop.
But imagine a world where like, okay, you can't film in Chicago. The studios are out here, so it's going to take place in LA. And okay, you don't have a really good special effects budget, so things look kind of cheap, like superhero effects. Oh my gosh, there's a garbage truck backing up down the road. Anyways, ignore the beeping. So the special effects are low production, a little bit cheesy compared to what we're used to seeing in movies, obviously, but even other TV shows like Arrow and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that. But shows that are like that, or pilots that are like that, can redeem themselves with, good acting, well-written scripts, and, some other planning workarounds that help pull stuff like that off. And this show didn't have any redeeming qualities. And I think the thing that continues to break my heart is Mr. Copley, it's just that going from seeing him in District 9 and feeling like there was something brilliant about his performance there and the evolution of his character in that film, and then seeing him in Elysium and thinking like, oh, okay, cool, this guy actually makes a compelling bad guy. Like, how crazy is it that he goes from being like this nerdy, transformed character in District 9 to like this brooding, dark badass of sorts in like Elysium to Chappie, oh yeah. Chappie likes the book.
Chappie doesn't like
whatever.
powers.
Like we've already reviewed Chappie. We have a whole podcast on that. The character of Chappie to us was endearing, and so Copley did like a really good job with him, in our opinion. There, and seeing him choose a project like this, didn't you say you read somewhere, and you said when we were talking about this, you paraphrased him completely, but that he had said something in an interview somewhere where he was choosing his projects very wisely, and he realizes that he hasn't chose to carry any projects on his shoulders since District 9.
Correct.
Right. And he chose this.
Yeah, he said he was being very picky about his roles. And maybe if you go on the PlayStation Network or if you go on IMDb, it says there's 10 episodes. We've only seen 3. The other 7 aren't out yet. So maybe he's read through all 10 episodes, and from his perspective, it is like this amazing project. We're only getting a glimpse of what the entire first season is. But yeah, he said he was being much more selective about his roles, and he hasn't been able to carry anything because he's only been a supporting role in his last few projects. But why don't let's give a rundown of the show. We haven't even given a rundown of like who the characters are and stuff.
Shit.
Let's do that.
Okay, so you're right. Wow. Powers.
All right, Powers is a show about humans and people with superpowers coexisting. And
you said superpowers.
Superpowers.
Like superstar.
Superstar. Like 70s. Almost like 70s.
We watched 3 hours of Powers.
Powers, right.
Wow.
So the main character is Charlton Copley. We'll call him Copley. He plays Detective Christian Walker. Walker. He
now
is
walks.
Oh god, because he can no longer fly.
Because he used to be a hero
with powers. And now he doesn't. He has mysteriously been removed of them.
Not mysteriously. Well, sort of.
Yeah. His powers were taken away by an evil villain named Wolf. We don't know how. We don't know why. But that's in the case where now he is just a plain old human. He's a head detective, lead detective, great detective, whatever. I
don't think he's a great detective.
Okay, maybe not. We don't know yet. At a police station that's in a unit that specializes in dealing with powers.
They're like the FBI for powers.
Exactly, yeah. He's got this new partner
Because his partner died.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Spoiler. His partner dies in the first few minutes of the episode, so he gets a new partner, and it's about their journey and figuring out what's dealing with powers. And their first case is the death of a power, Olympia, who has died under mysterious circumstances, and they're pretty much trying to unravel this case. So that's kind of like the base of the story.
Yeah.
There are
He used to be really famous, by the way.
Exactly.
Also.
He used to be an amazing hero.
Yeah. Oh no, go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, just that was in his glory days, and so now he's trying to track down. There are people with powers who are good, people with powers who are bad. So of course they have to deal with them accordingly. You want to take off from that?
Where were we going with this? Oh, okay. So that was the backdrop. Where were we before that?
Well, I'm just saying if you want to talk about like any of the characters or just the storyline.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I can't. I don't have. There's nothing wrong in my mind with the fact that it doesn't really follow too much of the comic book whatsoever because I didn't have that for a basis. I hate it. Oh, okay. So we did that thing where we watched it, and our opinions are our own, and I like to think that everybody's opinion is valid, and it is, and that just because we say something isn't good, that doesn't mean it's the be all end all. And it's fun to seek out people who agree with you and kind of commiserate over these things together, and it's also fun to find people like who believe the very opposite of you. And when we went online to see what other people were saying about this show, that was what we were finding, was that some of the reviews were basically saying it's not the best show ever, but it's pretty good. It's not bad. Give it a little bit of time. I'm paraphrasing these reviews and clumping them into one thing, where in general, the voice of whatever, the internet, was that it's cool that we have a superhero show that's essentially rated R, or not rated at all, and that we've got this story about superheroes and people with superpowers, and there's swearing, and there's cussing, and there's blood, and there's sex. Well, not like actual sex, but they allude to sex in many.
I'm sure they'll get around
occasions.
to it too.
Yeah, like the whole concept of you have superpowers in this universe, and so sometimes the exchanging of body fluids can mean that somebody without powers, at least temporarily, can get to feel what it's like to have power inside them. And so, like the first episode of this, there's like a club scene, and
there's lots of club scenes.
Yeah, there's lots of club scenes in the show, and there's this girl going down on the guy, Olympia. Was his name Olympia? Yeah, and then at first we were just kind of like, okay, random BJ happening. But
old later, dude with like a teenager.
Yeah, and then later on we realized like, oh, she was trying to get his powers
and
through.
He's a superhero.
The power of his penis.
Oh God.
What? Just picturing it, just having to say that out loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and list some of my pet peeves with this.
Okay.
With this
yeah,
show.
yeah.
So like we said, acting not great. It's very like over dramatized, and there's cursing like every other word, and I feel like you can make really great characters with depth and anger and emotion and whatnot without every other word being F this, F that. Like, I felt like it was just so overly used. It really took away from character. Like, they became very one-dimensional. Acting, it's okay. There's this main chick the young chick who's giving
Callista?
Olympia. Yeah, Callista. Her character I find very annoying. She's been hanging around. She hung around all 3 episodes. I'm not really sure why. She doesn't seem interesting. She doesn't seem important. But for some reason, everybody keeps fighting over her.
What is she, a wannabe? Is that what they call her?
Yeah, she's a wannabe. She doesn't have powers, but she wants to hang out with powers. She somehow, in her little demented mind, thinks that she does have them, but she hasn't activated them yet. She hasn't discovered what they are yet. So she's a main component of the first 3 episodes, but she's not interesting. Everyone seems to want to be on her side or get her on their side, and I don't really see why.
Yeah.
There's nothing about her that's compelling or intriguing or anything. She's really rather immature and annoying.
Yeah.
The trouble with Copley's character Walker, you kind of start
Besides his accent?
Oh yeah, that
and
kind
his
of
Batman voice.
Oh my God, the Batman voice. Yes, it's like it's because he's trying to hide his accent, but he's not really doing it well.
So he talks like this.
And the other guy Royale, he's trying to hide his English accent.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why, but for some reason, when people try to imitate American accents, they just make their voice very deep. Even with women,
Americans are badass.
I don't know what the logic behind
they just have to go America?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot easier to do a Southern accent, right?
I don't know what it is, but
okay, go on. Sorry.
No, yeah, they
just got my gears going.
They deepen their voice for whatever reason to sound American. And I don't know, what were my pet peeves? What was I going with this?
Oh, just that okay, before I brought up the hiding the accents.
Oh, God.
You're saying that Callista's character isn't at all engaging, yet she hangs around for 3 hours, and we're not sure why either side, the good guys or the bad guys, really care about her. Like, the good guys, it's like, really? She's your only lead in this case?
I know, seriously, there's like dozens of other
Yeah.
people that were at this club, dozens of other people who you could be interviewing. Yeah, it's just...
And so from the bad guy's point of view, it's kind of like she's like your daughter. You want her as a daughter. So the only thing I can think of is like maybe she does have some crazy power inside of her that's going to awaken, and somebody knows it.
Yeah, the logic behind some of these things just don't make sense. So like, okay, that's what I was saying. So like Copley's character Walker, he's unraveling. You see him kind of getting temperamental. The subject of his powers being taken away comes up very, very frequently. They talk about it all the time. And they're making it seem like this is the first time he's ever coming to grips with it. Like they don't talk about how long ago it was. I'm gonna assume several years because he kind of has this. They keep talking about way long ago, Diamond, this and that. So I'm gonna assume that it's been quite a while. That he's already established himself as a detective and as a person. He's been out of the game for a while, but it's like he's barely coming to grips with it. Like, oh my God, people are discovering that. His partner. Ask him questions once in a while, and it's like, oh wow, for whatever reason, the 10 years that have passed didn't make him want to talk about it, but now suddenly he wants to open up his deepest, darkest secrets to a partner he just met 2 days ago. It's like, what? That makes no sense. And she only asked him like a simple question. It wasn't even like they were drunk and they had this open-hearted talk, or like she was pressuring him, or it was like a life or death situation where she had to know these answers so they could, live from something. It was just like random. Like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I'm totally going to let you know all the things that have been bothering me mentally and emotionally, bugging me for this past decade of my life, even though I probably don't even know your first name. It was there's a lot of things that just don't make sense. It just, the timing is off. The way the characters interact is off. It's just like, what? Like, what? Why would that happen? Yeah, okay. Go on.
Do you like? So no, the one thing that my brain's spinning out of control now just because of all the horribleness. And one of the things that we started to do once we could tell that we weren't really feeling it was we started looking at all the Sony product placing in it. Product placement rather. Kind of like in Sony owns Columbia Pictures, right? And so in Chappie, we were, it was all the PS4s everywhere and blah blah blah.
10 PS4s hooked up to a TV.
In this, it was.
Everything
else. Lots
Sony.
of Vio laptops, which I don't even know if somebody else. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on in Sony's tech industry. Vio laptops, whatever the Sony version of their phone is, headphones. Yeah, and
just product placement like crazy,
Yeah.
and then and the way they hold their phones. Oh my God! There's this one scene where this chick Zora, I'm assuming she's like a teenager, late teens, early 20s. Yeah. She's getting a phone call. She's holding the phone about 3 feet in front of her. It doesn't ring or anything, but she just holds it in front of her for like 3 seconds, stares at it, pushes a button, and then starts talking into it. And I'm just like, it's not even natural. It was so you could totally see the Sony logo on the.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. TVs too. Sorry, Sony televisions are in there too.
Yeah. And I wonder if you're on set, right, and you're that actress. Granted, neither one of us have been on a professional big budget or even this budget like movie set. But are you, as an actor or actress, you're just powerless, right? Like you're.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can't tell the director or producer or whoever's standing there, like, well, people don't actually hold their phones like this. This doesn't make any sense. They're going to be like, shh.
Do you want to get paid? Do you want a job? You're going to get blacklisted in Hollywood because I can blacklist you right now.
This is the biggest movie you've ever been in, let me remind you.
Your little Kmart commercials are nothing compared to this, okay? So, no, you can't say anything. Absolutely not.
I think what I was getting at was realizing that, like, Columbia was Chappie and Copley, and I don't know who made Elysium, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Sony also. If Copley, Mr. C, if Mr.
those med tables were Sony endorsed.
Probably. But I wonder... And I was going to say, I wonder if he's in bed with them. And I don't mean in some sort of, like, sinister kind of way, but just that he's, like, that's the film culture that he's embedded in now here in America, is just kind of, like, working for them and getting those gigs over and over again for them.
Well, his success...
They're going to ruin him.
Before he became an actor and a director, he was a...
He's a director?
He was a television producer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he broadcasted a show... not a show, he broadcasted a channel in South Africa. So he became, like, a very... renowned, well-established television broadcaster, a producer for years and years before he was a an actor before he was in front of the screen. So I don't know if there was any kind of correlation there, if he had any kind of ties with him beforehand, but that's where his media background comes from. So you never know.
It's just there's some, you can have a really thick accent and not have to do the Batman voice to hide it. Like, what's his head? The who's the name of the gentleman that plays Rick in The Walking Dead?
Andrew Lincoln.
Yeah, and granted, now, I mean, his accent is a little bit Southern, like Southern American, a little bit, you know, because he's from Georgia.
His voice has gotten deeper over the years.
A little bit more Batman in that voice.
Exactly.
No,
right.
it's not that bad. But I was gonna say, whenever we watch Walking Dead, I am never sucked out of that show by feeling like he's really English.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, I know.
But like Copley, unfortunately, he says certain words and certain phrases, and it just like bleeds through so much, and it sounds like I don't know where sounds like he's supposed to be from. It's not LA, it's not Chicago, it's not, I don't know.
It's rough, gritty cop accent. It's almost like when he's angry it comes out. Like when he's trying to talk too
yes!
in the scenes where he's talking too fast or when he's
yeah.
angry, you can hear it come out. And because it's South African, it's very different. It's not just like you can kind of play it off as Boston or like Chicagoan or something. It's like no, it's totally like out there where you're just like, he out of character. He like totally lost it.
Yeah. But I mean, if you were Diamond and you could fly around at whatever speed he can fly around at, I mean, maybe he's flown around the world. Maybe Diamond spent a lot of time in South Africa and picked up an accent.
You know what? You're so right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
we don't know where he's been, the people he's met, the things he's seen, the lives he's saved all around the world. No wonder he has a messed up accent. We can't tell where he's from.
Oh man,
right?
I can only hope that's what's behind it. Oh God. Okay.
Okay. So back on track a little bit, unless you have a.
No. Go
okay.
on.
So we watched the first episode, immediately put off by it. Go online, find out that, I don't know, at least half of everybody watching it or so is kind of like, this is a pretty good show. We're
can't
really
wait
excited.
for more. Yeah.
That's me. That's us making fun of the internet, right?
It was so bad to the point where it was a 50-minute long episode, and I just felt it drag. You know, we're like, I was literally like, hasn't it already been an hour? Like, this can't be 50 minutes long. It's got to be like an hour and a half long premiere. Nope, it wasn't.
Start thinking of all the other things we could be doing with that show, catching up on S.H.I.E.L.D., catching up on Arrow. We'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God.
So anyway, then we go online and we post on Facebook and we say, not very good. Don't watch this show. And some other people, like our friend Scott, who writes for 30 and Nerdy every once in a while, and a couple of other people are like, oh, really? And Scott asked us something. I don't know if he asked how many episodes we watched. He didn't say that. But I did mention that we had only watched the first episode, and he said something along the lines of, I usually give a TV series like 3 episodes before I, decide it's not. Oh, he said he had read the comic, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we're supposed to give it 3 episodes, I guess. That's how amateur we are.
Okay, yeah.
Which nobody said that. I'm not making fun of anybody in that regard. So anyways, I felt like he was right. And that if we were going to sit in front of this microphone and talk about this show, you know what? There's 3 episodes available right now. Everybody says the show gets better. Let's give it another shot. Maybe we'll sit down in front of the microphone and be able to tell people, wow, the show doesn't start off that great. But boy, does it get good. And by that 3rd episode, I bet you won't be able to wait until they put more episodes out, right?
But this was an actual conversation that we sat down and talked about for like 20 minutes. We're like, should we watch the next episode? Like, we actually debated it because we were like, it was so bad that we were like, okay, debating. Do we just give up now and say, okay, we wasted an hour, just go on other things, other shows, other movies that we can review and talk about, or do we invest 2 more hours? Like, we actually had to think about this because it was so cringeworthy. We're like, can we sit through 2 more hours of something this bad? And we're like, okay, no, we owe it. Yeah, let's just do it. It wasn't even like a switch of the flick of the switch to be like, yeah, sure, okay, fine, we'll just invest 2 more. It took some thinking, some heavy duty like contemplating.
That's the thing that's one of the downsides to trying to do this kind of stuff and being like a reviewer and a critiquer and somebody that talks about entertainment and whatnot, is sometimes being faced with, I don't know if you want to call it the opportunity. I guess, yeah, the opportunity to be current in a conversation like this and realize that in order to be able to talk about it with other people, you just need to have sat through something like incredibly mediocre to try to pull gems out of it or like further assess why you don't think it's very good. Long story short, we sat through episodes 2 and 3, and while the show did get better, remember by the 3rd episode, it felt like, almost like the direction was a little bit tighter. The acting was a little bit better. The special effects budget was...
The script was definitely better.
The script was better, yeah. The special effects were better, too. Like with the,
I think because it was less of them.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. There were probably less shots.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say, it's not to say that the third episode was good.
It was not.
It was not good. It was just better than 1 and 2. So it wasn't on the decline. It was on, getting a little better. But it was still not even up to mediocre for me. It was just not sucky. It just didn't suck.
You said, oh man, I wish I could quote you here. It was something in regards to the last 20 seconds, literally the last 20 seconds of the third episode, and
got interesting.
Yeah,
I was like,
wow. So it only took 2 hours, 59 minutes, and 40 seconds for the show to get good.
For me to be like, hey, that was it. It wasn't even like, oh my god, that was incredible. It's just like, hey, that's kind of interesting.
Wow, what a cool idea.
That tiny little cliffhanger will make me think, okay, we'll go into episode 4, and hopefully the script will be just as tight as 3, maybe if not better. And maybe by episode 10 it will be amazing and great. But like, God, it just started off terribly. I don't know how anyone would look at the script of the first couple episodes and think, man, this is amazing. It's like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so, it doesn't have a flow. It's not natural. It's comical. I'm just like, but yeah, you're right. Like the last little bit of episode 3 kind of made me have a little bit of hope that, you know what? It isn't Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. by any regard, because I love that show, but it's getting better. It might get there.
And so one of the things that we did, I think, it's not like we planned this. We've been behind on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a really, really long time. We were behind on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before Winter Soldier came out. Then we heard that Winter Soldier came out and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got like even more amazing because they incorporated like some plot twisty stuff that happens in that movie into the show, and like the whole Marvel universe is sort of like feeding off of it. Like the TV show and the movies are all kind of like weaving in and out of each other now and stuff like that. And so today we took the opportunity to go back and pick up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
We just watched a couple of episodes. We binged watched a couple of
episodes. Like 3 episodes in a row.
Yeah.
3 episodes in a row. And like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is incredible compared to Powers. I think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a little bit cheesy. It's a little bit hammy. It's kind of like in almost like a 90s comic book kind of way to me. There's a little bit of cheese in it.
But I think it's purposefully done. It's not like it's cheesy in the way, I think this is great scripting. It's like, no, they do it because they like that little bit of like, it's purposefully done.
Some of it is, but anyways, regardless of any cheese or ham, it's sounding like a meal.
Sandwich.
Just add a little bread. It's one of those things where, like we said, I don't know how to balance a production budget or what goes into that sort of thing, but the writing in S.H.I.E.L.D. is so much better. Like the writing's there. So even if Powers didn't have, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s budget for lighting and equipment and cameras and sets and all this kind of stuff, the fact is that from the root from the root of it, the writing, the script, like they're in 2 different leagues of their own. Like, granted, different material. Marvel Comics versus, something that was like started off as like an Image thing, and then Powers, I think, dabbled in being affiliated with Marvel. It was pitched to DC at one point, and it's like history and like all this kind of stuff, and different writers with different inspiration and things like that. And I'm not trying to. It could be trying to compare apples to oranges. That's why I don't, but. Even Arrow, like we watched the first few episodes of that, and I thought Arrow was, don't get me wrong, I think Arrow's stupid, and I think it's cheesy, but there's just something to love about it.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Because I don't, like, even though I watch Arrow and I kind of like roll my eyes, but I'm smiling the whole time, just like, this is ridiculous, and this is way cheesy and way hammy, and, but there's still something like kind of fun about it. With Powers, I roll my eyes and I'm angry that I'm spending my time with it.
Yes, exactly. You get more disgusted with it. It's not even like, I'm going to enjoy this cheesiness, or that's a funny one-liner that, could not be used anywhere else. It's just like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
It's not, it's pointless almost.
Yeah.
But
and I remember earlier you were mentioning, and I mentioned that like some people thought it was cool. It was like, whoa, like sort of like a rated R superhero production with swearing and stuff like that. And how like the constant language is something that like, drags us out of it. Me too.
Absolutely.
And
like, use some vocabulary.
Yeah.
Extend, use some actual words to explain your anger. Don't just say F this, F that, every other word. It gets tiring, and it just makes them look very simple.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
It's kind of, because some productions and some directors can like pull it off. Like personally, I mean, while I love Django Unchained a lot, and that movie didn't even have that much language. Like, I love Tarantino films and Scorsese films, like films with characters and scenarios and worlds that are just built off of like foul language and stuff like that, and it's part of the world. And I just feel like if that's what the show was going for, was building this like gritty Tarantino or like Scorsese-esque, superhero world with lots of cussing and swearing and, just, no, you failed. You came off really lame in the process of trying to come off really cool.
Absolutely. Like, you used a good example, Django Unchained. That was, I understand the cursing language because that was the era, that was the time, and they were really trying to just like epitomize that, and they did an amazing job because that's how people were treated, and that's how people acted, and that's how you gained your stance, your reputation. And in this, it was just like, it was more like they were just at a loss for words. They couldn't think of anything else to say, so I'm just gonna say this. And it's like, well, no. Think of something. Be clever. Be smart. Be cheesy.
Yeah.
Be something else other than just sounding completely uneducated and lame and just sad. It gave no depth to characters. It was annoying. It dragged on way too long.
It's interesting also, and I think we can kind of wrap this up really soon. We don't want to beat a dead horse on it, as they say, as we say. Is the marketing for this is all the main poster to promote Powers is sort of, it has this very yellowish, tannish kind of like tone to it, and it says, "From the studio that brought you Breaking Bad."
Oh my god!
And
no,
like, what a cool name to be able to drop to pull you into checking this thing out. And now I'm just like,
if you like this show, come and maybe we can suck you and trick you into ours, because it's nothing like what you think it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say that like Powers is going to damage that studio's reputation or anything ridiculous like that. That's definitely apples and limes. But
they totally baited people into that. It was just like a sucker punch almost.
Yeah. But shame on them.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, better call Saul. All right, from the people who brought you Breaking Bad. Like, cool, we get it, legit.
Yeah, no, this was totally a bait and switch. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh,
and then like the show doesn't even like, I don't know. I feel like Breaking Bad at least has that, that like New Mexico aesthetic with the desert and the way it's filmed and the color schemes like that you see throughout. And then the like Powers is just filmed on some generic feeling HD camera with like no real good art direction or anything like that.
It's like ultra saturated LA streets and colorful alley or graffitied alleys and whatnot. It's like, oh jeez.
Yeah.
So okay, so yeah, I guess you're right. Wrap it up. Overall, all in all, didn't like the first episodes. Barely liked the third episode.
Yeah.
We're going to continue watching it when it comes out.
We are?
Oh, I thought we were, to kind of just see 10 episodes. I don't know. I guess we're debating it. There's still 7 episodes left. We're going to debate it, or we're going to think about if we're going to continue, because that's 7 hours that we could be spending doing a lot of other things. Yeah. I mean, if you read the comics, you liked them, you want a show that's loosely based on it, go ahead, check it out.
Super loosely based
Super loosely. It's not something we enjoyed. It's not something that even after the next 10 episodes, I think will make me a fan of it. But
if people really embrace this, is it just like one of those like God save us all kind of moments? Because
I think so. Like, I don't know what we're missing. I think that's what's kind of upsetting me is that all these people that love this show, I don't understand what they love about it. I can't even like see someone else's perspective on this and be like, okay, I can kind of see how you like the story. I can kind of see how you like this acting. Like, I'm missing something that they're picking up on, and it's kind of disturbing me. But oh well.
Is it because we're 30 and nerdy?
Oh God.
Students. All right, we're done with this. We do not recommend Powers. We're still, who knows if we're going to keep watching it. As of right now, I don't want to. At the same time, there's it's sort of like one of, like the train wreck that you can't help but just kind of see where it goes or what's going to happen. I don't know. It really does feel like a waste of time. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so for 30andnerdy.com, I'm Matt.
I'm Gina.
And this has been season 2, episode 6, 7, or 8 of our...
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. You can find us on 30andnerdy.com. We've got our YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, our wonderful Etsy shop,
Twitter.
And
we're trying to get on Tumblr. We don't know how to tumble, so
Yeah.
we're working on it. If anybody out there knows, wants to give us some hints, direction, great. Because
Tumblr?
we're kind of lost.
What, man?
We don't know, but we'll figure it out.
It's getting old. Help us be cool. Help us be young again.
Oh, we were never cool. All right.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.